Hey guys, how's it going? Good morning. So I'm just jamming on my electric mandola this morning. I wanted to get this instrument out and talk about it a little bit. Many people don't know that I play this thing. I've done a few YouTube videos in the past. Played Cherokee a couple years ago, and then I recorded some Joseph, which is really fun. But this instrument is super unique. So my dad actually designed this. As I've mentioned before, my dad, Shelby Eicher, taught me everything I know. He was my main teacher when I was growing up, and he's an amazing musician, violin and mandolin and other instruments. But he designed the prototype of this instrument, which was actually built by Rob Bishline. He designed it along with Rob Bishline back in the day. I think it was built in 2000 or 2001. So I was a little kid. I was about 10 years old. And I, got to play on it a little bit. But then over the years, my dad was trying to get Rob to build another one. And he was too busy making banjos. And when I went to college, I started playing that electric mandola, the Bish, as we called it, a lot. And I would play in my dad's Western Swing Band. And I would play, when I graduated college, I was playing a lot of gigs back in Tulsa and primarily that instrument. And I ended up bringing it to Nashville with me when I moved out here 9 years ago. But then a couple of years after I moved out here, I really was like a year after I moved out here, I just recorded some songs on that instrument, like Lullaby of Birdland and My Window Faces the South. You can find these things on SoundCloud. I'll put a link in the description below. But basically, I was really excited about that instrument and trying to figure out what to do with it, and I ended up recording those songs. But my dad was hanging out with Jim Triggs, this same Jim Triggs, in Kansas at Winfield. Jim, for some of you who may not know, he worked at Gibson for a long time, and he built archtop guitars. And so now he has his own shop in Lawrence, Kansas, and he builds archtop guitars and mandolins. So my dad was hanging out with him, and he showed him these recordings, and Jim really loved the idea of this instrument, the sound, and basically Jim decided to take on this project. So we gave him the design. He basically copied the design of the prototype, the Bishline, the Bish. He built this one, and it's the first of its kind that he's built, and it really had, he improved upon the design. I mean, he did it's just his craftsmanship with building archtop instruments. And this instrument is exactly in between those things that he does. It's an archtop, like an archtop guitar, but it's a mandolin family instrument. And it's just so much fun to play. But I was going to say that, so this one has a radius fingerboard, so it's so comfortable, to play on with the left hand. And it also has two pickups, whereas the prototype, the Bishline, only has one pickup. My dad has that still in Oklahoma. So I gig on this instrument quite a bit. I play every week with it, and we do gypsy jazz, and we do swing and old country and pop songs. But I play with it in my wife's band. That kind of started during the, I've been playing with her for many years, but during the pandemic, I just decided to, hey, all this music I've been playing on acoustic mandolin for years now, what if I just change it up and I play the electric? And it's been really successful. It's so much fun. This instrument, as a mandolin player, it allows you to have a sound like a guitar. And along with that guitar sound, your style can be so different. You have the sustain and the facility of the single strings and the amplification with the amplifier, and you can just really lean in to those things that guitar players do. And since guitar has always been one of my favorite instruments and I listen to so much of that, I think this instrument has helped me develop that sound. Now even when I play acoustic mandolin, I do a lot of these things. Things that are really easy on this instrument, I've kind of brought over to the mandolin, because then when you have a single string thing that's the same tuning or tuned in fifths, then you can you feel it, and then you just kind of develop and get the little nuances. And then when you go over to acoustic mandolin, maybe you got to put a little bit more strength behind it, a little more force to just make it happen on the double strings. But for some of you who may not know what a mandola is, it's basically there's a family of instruments, the mandolin family of instruments, just like the violin family. So the mandola is the equivalent of the viola. If the mandolin is tuned like the violin, the mandola is tuned like the viola, which is a fifth deeper than the mandolin. So this is a C, the lowest string is a C, and then G, D, A. And what that means for me is I'm very comfortable with just playing this, now on gigs and stuff, and some kind of complicated standards, jazz tunes that have a lot of changes. I will want to look at the chord changes, because I don't, that ability to just transpose instantly it's really hard, But a lot of simple tunes, and so many tunes these days that I've played on this instrument, it's easy to go back and forth between. So basically, if you call a tune in the key of C, then I'm going to think about it like I'm playing in G. I'm just thinking about it like I'm playing mandolin. And if you're familiar with the numbers system and the way chords work, and okay, this song is on the 1, then it goes to 2 dominant, then it goes to 2 minor, then 5, etc. That's really a lot easier than it sounds, because you play, if you play a lot of songs in C, if you're, doing this, you're a musician and you have a repertoire, a lot of songs. You also play a lot of songs in G, and they all do the kind of the same things, the same types of chord changes and jazz chords and movements like that. So that's how I do it. Honestly, if I ever had to read something, I don't really have opportunities where I really read single note things on this, like lines these days, but I just never thought it was worth. Somebody told me one time I should learn alto clef. That way I could, be able to read this. But that's basically thinking about this low string like a C string. And for me, I'm just so much more confident, and I have that ability already, just thinking about it like in another key. It's so, treble, or, I'm not going to go to the trouble of learning a new clef, reading music for alto clef like a viola player or something. I just use it differently than that. So I'm just thinking like a mandolin player. And it's very similar, like if you play alto saxophone and then you want to start playing tenor sax, it's a similar relationship. It's not the same, actual relationship. It's not a fifth. So this is tuned a fifth lower than the mandolin. So that's actually also helpful, if you're used to playing a song here, like on this second string on the mandolin, then if you want to play it on this, since the mandolin is tuned in fifths, that relationship, and this is a fifth deeper, then you just go over a string and you can do the same line that you had on mandolin here. That the only case where that doesn't work out is when you were playing something on the E string on mandolin, and then all of a sudden you don't have that other string, right? You can't go over another string, so you just have to go further up the neck.